Now, we've been talking about Twitter and trends outside of a company, what people are saying in real time outside of a company's internal operations. I have an example of my own data problems in my company at Busy Bee. I can't find things very often, and I'm just totally inept at doing that anyway, but this helps you with your internal data too. This is a way you can organize your internal data in such a way where that becomes effortless as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It's right. And again, it's a question. Remember, we have designed our system to deal with a lot of information, right? So if you're, like a lot of companies have invested the last 30 years into email collaboration platforms, document library, and you most probably have your own storage. And what have they done? They've archived it, right? They only keep the information they deem valuable, and they archive everything. And archiving today is the graveyard of knowledge. Because nobody retrieves the information, right? So in your case, you say, okay, I've got information, I'd like to sort it through. Can we use this technology? Yes, because we can obviously point it to your sources of information and then show the patterns, and that's great. But let's say we point it not only to the documents you've stored, but let's say we point it to the streams of conversations that take place between your associates and perhaps even the communication with your clients, right? And I'll use the example of a big company, like a big six accounting firm, right? Or perhaps even better, merger and acquisition based company, biopharma.
Okay.
All right. So a biopharma company today has acquired a company 10 years, 15 years ago that dealt with stem cell research. And then the legislation changed, right? And they abandoned stem cell research. Recently, legislation now allows it. So now the CEO says, well, you know what? Let's figure out how we can leverage this. What can we do with stem cell research? Most of the employees are new employees. The integration of the old company is saved in archives somewhere, right? So what if I told you, the same way we talked about patterns and awareness, I could point our Darwin awareness engine to those data sets, those conversations of all the companies they've acquired, take all of that information, all these connected dots, put them in the virtual brain, we call it virtual cortex, right? Leave that as a super index that is based on the patterns and intensity of the themes that were discussed in the organization. Put that there. And as people work today, I'm streaming their conversation in real time. For the last, few days, they start a project. And I also observe patterns. Now, this is going to sound really natural and very human. You and I are talking right now, right? Patterns are emerging. We're talking about big data, we're talking about retrieval. At the same time, our own experiences from the past are resurfacing, which allows us to give anecdotes, right? To support the discussion. Imagine this now. We dynamically detect the pattern of the current conversation of individual who may not know what has happened in the past. And now we're capable of linking it to to the history, to the movement of the past, and even point to the individuals who were involved in that conversation. Furthermore, the topics that existed in the past may be different than the topics that are being discussed now. Maybe they were talking about heart tissue replacement. They didn't realize that they had this particular know-how in the company. And 3 of the people who were involved in the conversation still work for the company. So imagine a collective, now I'm going to be fancy on the words, a collective memory of consciousness that is now accessible to the enterprise today, so they can tap into the memory of the deliberation and the discussion to know what was happening, what did they care about, and use that to find the right resources and even find the documents that correlate with it, and do this dynamically. So you look at your computer, you're doing your emails, you have no idea, and on the side maybe there's a bar that says, oh, 5 years ago, same topics, here are the keywords, here are the key people, here are the documents that exist as you work.
So bottom line then for a company is countless hours saved.
Oh God, yes.
Productivity goes through the roof because you've already done this before. You're not...
That's correct.
Why do it again? And possibly maybe not as well as it was done the first time, because it might have been perfectly executed 5 years ago, but you don't know about it unless you have this system saying, hey, hello, we've done this already. Stop what you're doing, retrieve this data, here it is.
Yes. And isn't that the promise of technology? To capitalize on the knowledge that you capture, that you put in it.
Right.
That's the promise. And today with big data solutions, and particularly in this case, we're working with IBM as well, the ability to compute extremely efficiently and very fast those correlations gives us the ability now to say that archiving is a thing of the past. If you archive your data, even if it's unstructured, even if it's just the conversations, you're basically cheating yourself out of the knowledge capital that exists in your enterprise and its history. You make decision today based on your history.
Right.
Why should your company be deprived of that same privilege?
Especially when you put all the resources into it already.
That's right. You invested, right?
And you might find when you first start implementing this, my gosh, we did this 5 or 6 times already. That's not going to ever happen anymore because you know it's been done and you have access to that information. So tell me more about this partnership with IBM. It's very exciting.
Well, it is. I mean, coming from IBM and having seen the IBM technology move into the collaborative space and being part of that was exciting. But we attended a presentation at a booth at the Big Data TechCon this spring in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And the IBM Big Data folks are in the area, and they came and they saw us, and they discovered our technology. And the basis of their technology, you've heard of Watson, for instance, the computer that won against Jeopardy, against humans, right? Looking at petabytes of data, answering the question faster than a human being. Well, the fact is that IBM has been working on this for a long time. They had a big contract about 10 years ago with the Department of Defense around figuring out how to connect the dots, how to process all the information, to listen really to trends and whatnot. Now IBM just recently has been able to formalize the offer and bring the technology to the market with their big data solution. And there's so many technology that work together. But the bottom line is that we are a company that naturally deals with big data and streaming data. And their streaming technology has a radical impact on our ability to process the information to the point where we can provide data from history or from what's happening right now, process it, show the pattern in large volumes, in multiple contexts, in a way that we have not been able to do before. So we went to IBM in New York, to their Watson Research Center, met people over there. We also went to some workshop understanding this string language program, and we've applied it and we've tested it on our system. The performance is just mind-blowing. People don't realize it. One of our developers, which is really funny, he came down, 2 of them, one of them came down. He's a pretty good guy. And he was experimenting. He was in the workshop, and then we did what most people don't do. We actually tested it on our system, on our algorithm.
Okay.
And he's used to Storm and all these open source streaming type things. And, we use that, Amazon. He says, steps back, and he says, wow, this changes everything.
Yeah.
I turn around, I said, you get it? He says, yes. The guys are not going to believe me. They're not going to believe me how fast we're able to compute this, how much more we can do with it.
Yeah.
And that's the power of IBM. See, this is what and the partnership that we've become a business partner in the field of big data with IBM, and we're working together. We are now committed to migrate our Amazon-based cloud computing power to IBM streams in order to benefit. And the scale is great. The cost of ownership reduces in terms of hardware.
Right.
And the ability to process more information from more diverse sources, paired even with the insight solutions of IBM to bring more analytic components to our own solution, is phenomenal. So this is something that is a game changer for us. This is, if you were in the industry of transportation, I told you gravity was no longer an issue. How would that change your industry?
Well, you'd have to talk to the engineering folks.
There you go. But you would understand that the issues around the roads are completely different now.
Yes.
You know, traffic is different. It changes everything. And that's what this programmer of ours said. He says, Ricky is his name, says, changes everything. And he was. He was amazed. And East Bend, we worked every night till 4 o'clock in the morning trying to break and trying to demonstrate, trying to do benchmarking. And every time the team, we were, you know, just baffled by the efficiency and what IBM is capable of doing. And which shows that although IBM is one of these companies, you know, that now is over 100 years old, right? That they've always, you know, from the typewriter to the computer, to the mainframe, to the PC, they seem, and this is what impressed me about IBM, they are so consistent and stable, but yet they don't fail in innovation. And they don't fail in innovation in a way that is remarkable. It's not about following. Mm-hmm. It's about leading. Right. And when they did that Watson, you know, with Jeopardy, what they demonstrated to the world is that on a scale of artificial intelligence, of advanced computing and power, they're unparalleled.